Welcome to the Great Awakening Ministry. I am Minister and Yogini Joanna Lee, and on this week's show, we have Shivali Bhammer. Shivali is a Grammy-considered devotional singer with a contemporary twist, and the only singer to have been signed by a major record label, Sony Music, in 2009. She is also setting the stage to be one of the youngest female Indian motivational speakers and was honored as the keynote speaker at the International Women's Day Conference in New York. And she has been featured as a guest speaker at Women of India, Leading in a Time of Crisis for the Women Ambassadors Forum. At the Spiritual Directors Conference in St. Louis, she stood as the sole Hindu speaker conducting a workshop on the essence of karma yoga. Additionally, Shivali shared insights on finding the goddess within at the conference. And recently, she presented learning from the Himalayan Masters to her peers and professors at Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Great Awakening Show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here and giving all of your divine wisdom and knowledge. The world needs this at this time. Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah, I think we all need it.
Yeah, we do. We all need it. Yeah, exactly. So, well, this Great Awakening show, there's just one question that I always like to ask.
Yep.
I believe that we, humanity, are going through a great awakening. Yeah. There's been sort of like, prophesied by the indigenous and the Mayans at this time that we're going through. What does this mean for you, to you, and what for us all? What does it mean to you?
That we're going through this great time.
This great awakening. It's like it's like a fastening of the awakening. I mean, I know that we're always evolving, but I think we're having a quickening at this time in these years that are happening.
Yeah, it's interesting that you feel that way. I'm not so sure if I do. This time within Hindu philosophy is known as the Kali Yuga. It's the age of darkness. Kal means darkness, Yuga is cycle of time. And so perhaps I can see sort of your perspective and my perspective and see both of them, in that I feel that there is so much change in society, economically, politically, as we know, and also socially. We've seen in the last 100 years, women finally have freedom and rights, things that we've never had before. And we've also seen us tackle real issues that were dividing us on race, religion, culture, and things like that. So in that shift, I think you're right that there is an awakening, because people are starting to see that there is more to life than what divides us. And actually, it's what unites us. And people are having that courage to face their own demons. We have people willing to talk to therapists. We have people willing to look at alternative ways of healing. We have people embracing both the East and the West in terms of philosophy. So I think in that sense, you're right, there is a sort of awakening. I think what we have to be careful of is that as technology evolves, as beauty standards change, as we get into this social media driven world where we are competing and comparing ourselves to others, that we don't then fall back.
I think that, and that's a very, very, very important point. I think there's an awakening going on in all areas, as you said, with health, politically, educationally, spiritually. This is why, because of this, the new technical age, AI that's coming in, this is why our spirituality must come high too, to bring balance to that. Because as in ancient civilizations, one overtook the other, and then that was the downfall, wasn't it, of that time. So this is where it's really a time of awakening. I mean, earth peace through self peace, is it not?
Mm.
Going within, doing your work, awakening yourself,
Yeah.
shining your light so that it can go out there and help. And tell us about, because I've just got all these lovely questions, because there's many different things that you do, but I will get to that and the practices for 2024 later on. But I'm really interested. Please tell us your thoughts and your philosophy on the relationship between body, mind, soul, and the intellect.
So firstly, the soul. The soul is the individual jiva. Jiva is the Sanskrit term for soul. It's the individual spark or light of consciousness that does not die, does not get hurt, cannot be cut, cannot be halved, cannot be destroyed. It is part of that universal light. So all individual souls make up Brahman, which is consciousness at its whole. And some people call that God, some people just call it consciousness. It doesn't matter. So that individual soul resides within everybody. The way that soul expresses itself is through the mind, body, and intellect. Having the integration of mind, body, and intellect and understanding how the three operate is what enables the soul to flourish. But if we forget that relationship, then what flourishes in the absence of our soulful nature is the ego. Is the ego. However, nothing that happens, negative or positive, can taint the soul at all. So now if we move on to the mind is what we believe is simply a collection of vasanas. Vasana is a Sanskrit word for impressions. Impressions that are made up of likes and dislikes. These likes and dislikes that we have, these judgments that we have, these desires that we have, they form as grooves or patterns in the mind that lead to habitual action. Think of the thought, I can't go without a cup of coffee in the morning. That coffee becomes a repetitive action every morning till somebody says, hey, you're not getting a cup of coffee this morning, there's no time, and you are irritable or you react to that. That is because that thought pattern, that action has become a habit and you have formed an attachment to it. Therefore, you are no longer in control of your mind. Your mind is behaving like a monkey. It's just doing whatever it wants, regardless of your clear judgment, which is formed by your intellect. Your intellect knows, I don't really need this coffee. I'll be fine with a cup of tea. I'll be fine with a glass of water. But the mind is like, no, I want the coffee. And when the mind is like that, what does it then affect? It affects the body. The body starts to react. So your body is reenacting or expressing what is going on in your mind, the thoughts that are in your mind. A good example is like when I'm going through a tough period of time or something difficult in my life, I tend to lose a lot of weight, which is great. I've just gone through some sort of turbulent couple of weeks and I've lost 5 pounds and I'm like, this is amazing. But that's how my body reacts because of the thoughts in my mind, because of the sadness, the pain, the anxiety, whatever it is I'm experiencing. So your body is simply, it's your temple, it's your tool, it's your instrument, it's what is reacting to your mind. and your mind is either under your control or it's not. And that depends on the strength of your intellect.
Mm-hmm. Are we not? That's right. That's a beautiful explanation. And are we not the soul consciousness behind the thoughts and the feelings? The thoughts and the feelings are not us. We are the we are the observer, the soul consciousness, which is a part of God. We come from the oneness, which is the spiritual world, heaven, whatever you want to call it, the one source. And then God put a part of its soul consciousness inside every single body to reincarnate again and again and again through our unfulfilled desires, which is karma, isn't it?
That's true. You're spot on. That's correct. I think, and to further add to what you're saying, where we get lost is we seem to think that these thoughts, these desires, these emotional reactions are us.
Yes.
It is our soul. But that soul is so beautiful. Like you said, it's from something higher. It's completely untouched. But we tend to blur the lines, and that's because of the ego. The ego starts to grow, and the ego starts thinking, I am angry, I am in love, I am this, I am that.
Yes.
Versus actually, this is somewhat separate from my truest self and my nature.
Yes, I am not my thoughts and emotions that are going crazy. I can step back and observe.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it true that, as you said just before, the God force, Brahma, working through us, gives us free will in this world of duality to learn about the masculine and feminine, the right and the good and the evil, and to bring that oneness close. So that's why we can't leave it all up to the divine. We have to master our darkness and our light, to have that oneness, for that channel, to come through us. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I think you're right. It reminds me of a quote, God helps those who helps themselves.
Yes.
Right. And
that's right.
We have asked, as individual souls that wish to express ourselves, we are part of a universal creative force, creative spirit. If you don't have free will, creativity cannot flourish. You can't create your wonderful platform and your podcast. I can't create my music, my dance, whatever it is. We need free will to be able to do that. And so you're absolutely right. And there's a really beautiful balance where you need to learn to both surrender to the universe or trust in the process, but equally put in the right kind of action to get the outcome that you wish. Now, what you need to do is you cannot control what that outcome is going to be, how that thing is going to manifest. You don't know when you get into a relationship, are you going to break up? Are you going to get married? It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be good. You don't know. What we tend to do as humans is we tend to attach ourselves to a particular outcome, saying this has to happen, and then struggle all the way when that is out of our control. But what is in our control is whatever we can do to manifest the best and the highest good. And if it doesn't work out, that's when you fold your hands, say, I did my best, and allow yourself a redirection.
Yes. Or try again, to never give up and try again and make the mistakes always lead us into the truth. There is no badness, there is no mistake. It's all leading us onto the true path. And we went into the karma. So what are the principles of karma and dharma? Because many people understand a little bit of karma, but they don't understand what dharma means,
Yeah. So I'll explain both, because I think some people understand karma as action and reaction, but then they don't really know beyond that, right? It's like, oh, it's your good karma, it's your bad karma, okay. But actually, karma, which is practiced through karma yoga, has these steps that you take with each action in order to create positive karma. So the first principle is that, whatever you do, whatever action you take, even if it's just brushing your teeth, you commit 100% to that action. You are with that action.
You're mindful.
Number two,
You're mindful of that
you're mindful. Perfect. Exactly. You're mindful. Number two is when you commit 100% to that action, then you are not focused on the past of how, what went wrong when you did that action before, and you're also not predicting the future of that action. So you're not focused on the outcome. You're not focused on the anxiety of the past when you've done that before. Oh, I failed at that. Oh, I sucked at that relationship, so I'm going to fail at this one, whatever it is. No, you are present. You're present in that action. Because if your mind is fluctuating between the past and the future, you're not giving it. You're not doing yourself justice. You're not doing that action justice. Then the third one is that think beyond the action. So if your action is, if your action is to do with, let's say, service, what is the impact of my service on my family, my community, the greater world? So try and have a perspective of your action that goes beyond yourself.
Yeah.
Because the more you're able to give, the more empowered you feel. Because we are made from the giver.
Yeah.
That's our fundamental joy and role. We have all that power within us. So don't have that scarcity or limiting mindset within your actions. And then the fourth rule is accept. If you have done 1, 2, 3, you've been mindful, you've been present in that moment, you've thought of like the greater sort of impact of your actions, let it go.
Yeah.
Accept gracefully. I will tell you, number 4 is my biggest personal challenge. I cannot accept. I'm like, come on.
And you know what? That is mine too, because we're always trying to control the outcome. And when we control, when we get in the way of our own flow, we stop it and we sabotage it, self-sabotage. That's what self-sabotage is. And it's no. And it's beautiful that you said that, because I'm always saying, try and make your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions sacred, coming from the heart. Make them a sacred action, make them a heartfelt, because then that's coming from that place where it can do no harm. Or when it comes back to you, because it will, because everything we give out comes back to us, it will be for the good of all. Do it for the good of all.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think when it comes to dharma, the concept of dharma can be spoken about we've got so much philosophy and books on what is dharma, but in its simplest
you say dharma. You don't say dharma in
dharma. I don't say dharma. Yeah, dharma. Your dharma is it's what you know as dharma. And the same actually with karma. It's actually, I think it's supposed to be pronounced karam.
Yes, same as yoga.
So.
Same as yoga.
Yeah,
it's
same
not
as
yoga.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's yoga.
Yeah. So karma, I've always I've just said karma, but dharma I've sort of kept to that. But with dharma, it is it's your duty, right? It is taking responsibility for your for what you are doing and what you are destined to do. Your responsibility as a daughter, your responsibility as a friend, holding yourself accountable and fulfilling your duty, especially also to yourself.
Your soul purpose.
Your purpose, yes. And trying to live a life of moral conduct. And fulfilling your duty in a way that doesn't sacrifice anyone else or yourself or cause pain, harm, negativity, those kinds of actions.
Which will cause karma for you.
Yeah,
So they're
exactly.
very entwined, aren't they? Dharma and karma.
It's like, yeah, exactly. And I think in this sort of world, we struggle to understand what our dharma is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have this conversation with my one of my best friends. He and I discuss this a lot because roles are changing, gender roles are changing, right? And is it okay to be the housewife? Is it okay to be the breadwinner? Is it okay to be single? And are you going to be judged for that? Can you get married as a man? Should you be paying for the woman all the time? Should you be not? Like, there's so much confusion in understanding what your duty is to yourself and to others that I think it's become very complex, and people need to take some time to go into the quietude to be sent and figure out, am I doing this in a way that's real, authentic, and serves a higher purpose to that person or that job or whatever it is, and myself.
Yes, absolutely. So true. Really, absolutely. And on that note, when you said go within, meditation, I mean, it's just so beautiful, is the key, I believe, to all things. So please tell us, your view, what you believe are meditation and mindfulness and the benefits and how you implement them.
So meditation is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I love that. That's good, beautiful.
It is extremely boring when you first begin. I think that's where people struggle. My childhood best friend, she's always trying to get into meditation. She's like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then she's like, but then if I'm daydreaming, am I still meditating? Well, if I'm asleep, isn't that kind of meditation? and it's hard. It's hard for people to meditate.
It takes years of discipline,
It takes a lot. And I think where people find it frustrating, including myself, is that you don't always see the benefits straight away. You just are like, okay, what did I just do for 20 minutes? Because I don't really feel particularly any different. But it's kind of like learning anything, and you have to do it step by step.
Yeah.
And what meditation does is it allows you to focus on your breath. Once you're focused on your breath, you slow down the level of activity in your mind. And when you're slowing down the activity in your brain, you're allowing your thoughts to dissipate. And of course, they will still come. But as you said earlier, you detach from them so you become the observer of your thoughts. Now, when you start to become the observer of your thoughts are less likely to have an emotional impact on you. You can then use your intellect to recognize between what's a useful thought and what's not a useful thought. And meditation quietens the mind. It reduces the number of thoughts. Once it reduces the number of thoughts, it allows the positive thoughts to rise, the negative thoughts to be burnt. And that means that you are constantly leaning into happiness, into contentment, versus leaning the other way. And it also has, and what the magic of meditation is that it will impact your entire day.
Yes.
Without noticing. You will be a little less reactionary to something. Something will hurt you a little less. It won't eliminate emotions. That's not the point. The point is not to feel, but the point is to have some control over what's, and I suggest everybody should meditate. I think it should be taught in schools. I think people should start at a very young age.
Definitely.
And I've tried lots of different types. I've done a lot of different courses, whether it's been the Art of Living course, which is focused on pranayama, which is breath control, or I've done the Brahma Kumari course, which is focused on like a spot of light. I've done I'm part of Chinmay Mission, which teaches Hindu philosophy, and and you meditate as part of that. But what I've found is that if you are feeling very, very blocked, then try a chakra cleansing meditation. You can find them on YouTube. And what that does is it slowly unblocks your various chakras, which 7 of them, which exist inside of you, and starts getting them like spinning. I like to think of it as like, when you like something sort of
for the flow,
and it's not moving, and then
so that you get free flow of energy, straight up.
Yeah, so you get free flow. Exactly.
That's Kundalini. I'm a Kundalini Kriya yoga teacher, so that is we do that, and we have free flow of energy, and it magnetizes the spine, so it brings up the Kundalini into the pineal gland, and that's why I love meditation, because when I'm here, it's like the crown opens and divine love light energy comes in from source. Photons of light come in and fill your body. And I've always say this, your armor of Brahman, your armor of God, repelling negativity. It's so beautiful. And that is that blissful divine place where, as you said, you then go into your normal day life and you bring that blissful state into every thought, feeling, word, and action in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, I think the idea is, and I'll also say, if you're somebody who suffers from low self-esteem, or you have trouble loving yourself, which, we all do, or you have a lot of fear. In Hindu philosophy, we talk about fear, fear of rejection, fear of failure, and fear of inadequacy, and how all those 3 fears sort of play up in everything that you do. And if that's sort of something that is troublesome for you, then a meditation that involves positive affirmations, I think, works particularly well. So you need to find what fits with you, and you can change it up as you go through it. The only thing I would say is that commit, because commit
practice,
when it's not working.
It's the practice every day brings you a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, and
you're gonna, like, for example, today I had a bit of a struggle and I couldn't control some of the things that I feel I've been able to control because of meditation. And I thought, meditating, not working, this is annoying. And then I thought to myself, doesn't matter. No. Forgive myself. It's okay. Try again.
Exactly.
Do it tonight, meditate again, and the reward might not be felt today, but it might be tomorrow, it might be the day after, it might be in 3 weeks. You don't know. You just keep doing it.
And as you said, chanting affirmations, and chanting on Om is so powerful too, is it not?
Yeah. Well, I would say that. Definitely biased.
Me too. When I chant Om, it's just something happens. It's like all the past lives, everything just comes into that moment of it's just so powerful. And they say, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling, depressed or fearful, then you just chant Om, because Om is the name of God. It's the name of creation. It is God, Om. And that really calms all of your being. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's exactly. We believe it's the sound of God. It's the sound of consciousness, and it's the integration. Om represents the integration of mind, body, intellect. It also represents the different levels of consciousness: subconscious, conscious level, deep consciousness, and it sort of collapses them all into a state of universal consciousness. where past, present, future don't exist. These different levels of existence don't exist, and you're absorbing yourself into this infinite ocean, which is Om, and it can be great. Yeah,
which is the true state, which is the true state of heaven or the spiritual world. We don't have to wait until we die to get into that state, to become enlightened. We can actually do that in the body while living. That's what the yogis tell us, don't they? You know, if we practice, you know, and have self-discipline. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think there's a beautiful, if you have ever seen an image of Lord Krishna, I don't know if you have, but when there's an image of Lord Krishna playing the flute, he has one foot that is crossed over, and it's like kind of like on tiptoe, and then one that's planted on the floor. And one of the ideas is that you are part of this world, you're grounded in this world, but you recognize that you are beyond. You recognize that this world is at play. You sort of live slightly above the world, which is that idea of that foot being on tiptoe. And the way I explain it to people is recognize the game. It's a game. Yeah. And you've chosen to play it.
Play. It's everything is a stage, so as Shakespeare would say.
Yeah, I think Shakespeare got it completely. Exactly. I love Shakespeare. I think he really understood that it's all a drama.
And our true reality, our home, is the spiritual world of oneness, of source of God when we go back.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Home is off the pitch, not on the pitch. On the pitch.
I love that. That's great. That's so true. Yeah. And so it's fascinating because, you know, I've been a yogini for many, many years. And I just, you know, the sutras, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, all of the Vedas, fascinating. You know, it's unbelievable. Talking about the brain waves, you know, Patanjali, 400 BC. I mean, this is just, you know, unbelievable. You know, 8,000 years. It's the oldest book, isn't it? The Gita in the world.
Yeah. I think it is.
It's Sanskrit language.
Yeah, Sanskrit language is the oldest in the world. Patanjali Sutras are pretty old.
Yes.
I think the Upanishads might be older than the Gita. I think.
Yeah.
The Vedas are obviously the oldest sacred text, but they were written sort of slightly later. First, they were by oral.
Before writing. Yeah. That's why India is just, you know, the spiritual powerhouse of the world, you know, and it really is, isn't it? You know, beautiful.
At times, yeah.
Yeah, true, because it is so spiritual, but then it has its dark, you know, side, as every country with its.
Yeah.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
But tell us about some things you learned from the Himalayan yoga masters, you know, because, wow, the rishis, the masters in the Himalayas, how beautiful.
I think there are a few things that you can pick up from them. One is discipline. I think we lack, as a society, discipline. We are used to everything being given to us immediately, right? Think about how accessible things are on our phone. Within a tap, you can get whatever you want and reach wherever you want. And that has eroded the sense of discipline. And why discipline is important is because it's only through discipline do you then get the merit or the rewards that you are seeking.
Yes.
it's the only way that you can achieve something is through discipline. And also, if you don't have discipline over your emotions,
Yes.
then you are susceptible to anger, impatience, frustration, all of these things. But discipline allows you to rein that in. And we all have different things. I consider myself very impatient.
Me
That's
too.
that's my
Terrible.
struggle.
Mm.
And it's a work in progress. So I would say that discipline is one thing you learn from the masters. Number two is the power of silence.
Yeah.
Again, something I times, but we tend to sometimes over communicate or overshare or over express. I mean, just think of some of the things people are blurting out on social media because they simply want to express themselves. But actually, it's not giving any positive energy out into the world. It's not serving yourself either.
Exactly.
And
yeah. No, if you've got nothing positive to say, hold it back. You know, that's what it says. I'm just reading the autobiography of a yogi again for about the 5th time. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing. It's
the
amazing.
insights are amazing. And that's
Yeah.
what Sri Yukteswar says.
Yeah.
Be silent.
Yeah.
Be silent.
Yeah.
A true wise master
Yeah.
is a silent being. Only
Yeah.
speaks, and is mindful of everything they are doing in the moment, and
Yeah.
speaks about that thing that they are doing in the moment. So to be silent is so important. That is really, I'm a very quiet person, and so many people that blah 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 blah. What? Just calm and be in that, balanced state, isn't it? Silence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. And funnily enough, funny you mentioned the autobiography of Yogi. It's one of my favorite books. I've also read it several times, and whilst I of course respect and love all of the yogis, Sri Yukteswar is my personal
The spiritual science, his book, Spiritual Science.
Yeah, I just love him. He is so, I don't even know the word for it, but composed.
Yes.
He just has it together. And I think you're right. It's the power of silence. We need to be able to create space, not just between us and others, but space within our own selves. And you can't create space with noise.
No.
It's impossible. So yes, that's another a lesson from them, and also I would say an acceptance. Yogis sign up to certain things, whether it's doing penance or what we call tapasya, or they give up food or drink, or austerities, or but they are very present in that moment and accepting of whatever gift comes out of that, even if the gift does not look like how they expected it to. And if we can learn that gifts are wrapped by consciousness in a way that we most need them to be, and not in the packaging that we expect, then when we open them, we'll realize that they're exactly what we needed and wanted.
At that moment in our life, yes.
But we have, at that time in our life, we just have to let go of how we think things should be packaged for us.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And I just love the yogis. I could just go on about all the books, it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. And I've learned to be a householder yogi, like his Sri Yukteswar's
Larry.
Larry.
Oh gosh, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, Larry Mahasara. Mahasari, yes.
Yeah.
He was a household
Yes, yes,
yogini.
yes, yes.
And you can do
He
that. You
was.
can, as long as you have the
You can.
time. And I think that is the hardest path because we don't have the luxury. I've got 4 children. I'm a single mother. I've got so many dogs, so many animals, all of my children. And, they're all teenagers. It's always impacting me what I'm looking after them. So, but a yogi can go into a cave and have that beauty, or just being alone in their house and have all of that time. I crave to be alone. That's one thing that I crave more than ever because my time. So I think it's really difficult sometimes to be a householder yogini because you've got so many distractions and temptations coming, and you have to look after so many. But we all persevere.
Yeah, it's true. And look, the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not married. I don't have children yet. Well, I'm not married yet either, but I don't have any of that package yet. And I have a lot of alone time. And
Yeah,
I listen to you and I'm like, I would take 4 kids and a dog. This sounds great. I'd love to do this. And you'd probably enjoy some of my alone time. And I think it's just embrace what you have.
Yeah.
Everybody is struggling. Everybody's managing. The battlefield lies within our minds.
Yes.
Not outside of us. It's inside of us. That's where the war is happening. That's where the turmoil is. That's where you're constantly, fluctuating between positive, negative, good, bad, happiness, and discontent. So just understand that you need to start changing things internally
within
versus externally, which is exactly as you're saying. You don't need to go to the Himalayas or to an ashram or give up the world to become a yogi. No. In fact, Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, when Arjun is thinking of running away from the battlefield because he has to face all his enemies that are his family who are on the wrong side of Dharma, and Krishna says, this is your duty.
That's right.
It is your duty, to be, to master yourself and be
amongst the chaos, amongst the chaos, amongst the temptation, amongst all of it. Yeah.
Exactly. The idea is not to run away. It's to run inside and understand yourself.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. I love that. And tell us, right, just for now, before we get on to, I'm going to ask you all about your devotional singing and for the last part, but for 2024, give us some practices because we're right on the edge here. It's like how many days till Christmas? It's a beautiful Christmas time. And this is going to be coming out towards the new year. So give us some practices for wrapping up the old year and bringing in 2024, Shivali.
I will only give to you what I'm giving to myself or telling myself. So, number 1 is don't be too self-critical in 2024. Try and show yourself compassion and love because you are your worst critic.
Yes.
So be a little bit more forgiving. Number 2, it takes 30 days for a habit to sink in. Meditate. 30 days. 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20, but do it religiously. I only ask for 30 days and then see if you can continue it. And I'd say number 3 is whatever has happened, good or bad, in 2023, it's time to let it go.
Yes.
Good or bad.
Exactly.
Just let it go. Because each day you have a choice to get up and do things slightly differently.
Yes.
And you do not need to wait for a month or a year for change to come around. Change can be as instant as in the moment. And sometimes we're scared to do that because we think to ourselves, okay, in this moment I'm feeling confident and I can change and be kinder, or I can let this go. And then 5 minutes later, we can't do it, or 10 minutes later, day later, we can't. That's okay. Keep committing to change within that minute and that moment, I would say.
Absolutely beautiful. Very, very important, especially the self-forgiving. I think that is, and, not being so critical about yourself, because, that's the self-sabotage that is. And I believe that, we've been, brought into this world, especially with some, disciplines and religions, we are sinners. We're not worthy. Jesus was the only son of man. We are all God's children. We are all the goddess's children. Jesus didn't come down here to teach us how divine he was. He came down here to teach us how divine we are, to emulate him. He was a mortal man telling us we can become enlightened. And actually, in them days of the days that Jesus was, we have no recollection of from 14 to, that time, they believe, and this is true, that he was in the Himalayas learning Kriya Yoga. That's how he could make all of his beautiful, miracles happen. Yeah.
No, I agree. The lost years, right? They call it the lost years.
Yeah.
Of Jesus Christ. I 100% agree. Whether it's Lord Krishna, or it's Lord Rama, or it's Jesus Christ, or it's the Buddha, they all became recognized as God after the fact.
That's right. But they were mortal. They were mere mortals.
They came on earth. Yeah, exactly. And the only difference, and I can't remember where I read this, but I think it was paraphrased from the Gita, where the only difference between Lord Krishna and Arjun is Lord Krishna says, I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I know I am God, and you don't know who you are yet. And that is
so true.
Only difference between any of us becoming a Jesus or a Buddha or anyone else.
That's right. That is so true. And that's what, Yogananda, you are divine. All the great masters, especially the Himalayan masters, all tell us that we are divine, and we are human and divine, aren't we not? This is why we have to learn about the wholeness, that bring that part of us, our divine masculine and divine feminine, our darkness and our light, and our humanity and our divinity into balance, isn't it? Yeah. That's beautiful. That's so important to know that. And that's the whole evolution. Until we know it, we're going to keep on evolving until we become enlightened to know that we're divine. Beautiful, lovely. And tell us, beautiful Shivali, please tell us all about your devotional singing and where we can come and see you and listen to you and your music.
So if you're interested in devotional music, bhajans, that's what we call them.
Sorry, what's it called? It's called
bhajans. Yeah, that's devotional songs, or mantras. And many of my listeners don't understand Sanskrit or Hindi, but they still connect with the music, because the idea is that the music vibrates on a higher level, to give you peace, love, and truth. And you can find it on anywhere: Apple Play, Spotify, iTunes. You can Google shivali.co.uk, and that has all the links to the albums, or through Instagram.
So it's raising your vibration, listening to it, especially the mantras and the devotional. It really raises your vibration.
Yeah, it definitely, I can tell from personal experience, and this is not listening to my own mantras and bhajans, but I listen to other people's as well. And when I do, I feel calmer, more in control. The flow is better. Anything we feed our mind has an impact on us. If you're going to listen to someone swearing in a song over and over and over and over again, it's going to have some impact. In the same way, if you listen to like sad songs about breakups. Oh, it's just gonna like depress you. So
Yeah, that's
we just
right.
have to. So
Yeah.
you know, what you eat impacts
Mm,
you. What you hear impacts you, and what you say impacts you. So
mm.
yeah.
That's really beautiful. Wow. Well, honestly, Shivali, I just want to say thank you so much for your divine wisdom. A fellow yogini you are to my heart. It's just absolutely lovely to listen to your knowledge, you know, and to your divine truth. Bringing that to many people is really important in this time because people need to hear this. And I just wanted to say thank you for being on the Great Awakening show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.